Hi, everyone. We're live. And today with me, I have Michael Coldesina. He is the guru of sports travel. Now, this guy is really interesting. He was born in California, grew up in Pennsylvania, so he's bi-coastal. And since we're talking sports, I bet you he has a bunch of sports teams that he follows. But you can see today he's got on his Philadelphia Phillies jersey. So welcome, Michael. You tell me that you've been around at Sports Travel and Tours for 8 years already. And if I remember right, and you filled me in on the details, we met on one of your very first days on the job.
We did. I think it was maybe either my first or second day. I literally flew out to Calgary on my first official day on board with Sports Travel and Tours, going in to meet a lot of our accounts that were in Alberta, both in Calgary and Edmonton, and a few great cities in between. And I remember we went out to dinner and had a great first meeting.
We did. And then, of course, we've seen each other at NTA over the years as well. So I'm so glad you're able to join us today because there's so many travel pros out there who are trying to build a niche and looking for something different and trying to fill the void for their clients who love sports. So what are some things that you've seen successful travel pros do to build their sports travel business?
I think one of the most successful things agencies or agents, travel pros can do is just let their customers know that they have this product. We are a very small niche market, and it's not like we're Caribbean or Mexico vacations. We're not cruises. We're not Europe. So we kind of tend to get overlooked, and we understand that. So maybe travel pros can just make a little mention at the end of an email, ask me about sports travel packages, or if depending on the time of year, focus on a particular sport or even an event. If it's, let's say, late fall, early December, and people are getting ready for baseball and spring training starting in late February, just a little tag at the bottom of an email. Maybe it's just a brief mention in a news blast. Just every little mention just reinforces the fact of this product is available through your travel professional.
What a great idea, because it's so easy to add a little PS at the bottom of their email signature line.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what would they say if they were going to add that PS at the bottom of their email signature?
So one of the things that I've seen, especially with baseball, with both spring training and regular season, is following your favorite team on the road if it's regular season, or especially for probably 2/3 of North America, escaping the cold winter weather in February and March and following spring training. Whether it's in Florida or Arizona, you're going to have better weather there in February and March than most other places in the U.S. and Canada.
Great idea. So there's one really simple tip that they can get started with. What other kinds of things are successful travel pros doing to build that business?
So one of our big claims to fame is that we are the official licensed travel partner of the National Baseball Hall of Fame and Museum in Cooperstown. And they have a big event every year at the end of July, which is when they induct the new class of players, coaches, anyone that has contributed a lot to Major League Baseball. And depending on the year and who is slated to go into that induction class, you might have a lot of sports fans in a given area that are going to have that as a main point of interest for their year. So if someone isn't a sports travel fan and maybe isn't up to date on that, they can always call us and talk to one of our agents, and they'll be able to bring them up to speed on who might be going in, who's considered a lock. Basically, you have to be retired 5 years or more, either as a player or a coach, both for the Pro Football Hall of Fame and the Baseball Hall of Fame, so that we've got a good idea of what players might be going in what years, and so that we can help plan for that in advance.
Oh, that's great. And your staff are pros at this. So any question
Absolutely.
that an agent might have, they can just pick up the phone or pop you an email, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. For somebody just starting to sell sports travel, what would you think would be the most easiest way to get into it, or the best sport to start with?
Well, I think it really depends on what the client's looking for, but let's take the four major sports: baseball, football, hockey, basketball. maybe there's a key event like an all-star game or a high-profile event. We try to do regular season set packages for pro football for the Dallas Cowboys, Pittsburgh Steelers, and the Green Bay Packers. So chances are someone's favorite team is going to be coming into one of those cities. And that might be a good starting point to just kind of put something out there for a November game or a September game several months in advance and just see if you can draw interest.
Oh, that's a great idea. So they could put that into their newsletter, pop it onto Facebook or something.
Of course.
Yeah. Okay. Do you have some text or some graphics that you have preset already that an agent could just copy and paste it?
Yeah, we certainly do have some graphics that we can share. Some that are that we have our own license for, and others that we have license to be able to share as long as they're being used within the selling of travel product.
Oh, see, that's great, because right there it takes a lot of the heavy lifting off of the travel agent as they're getting started or want to grow their sports business. That's awesome.
And we also have flyers that we can easily customize for particular events. And if we don't have one already made up, it usually isn't that difficult to create something for a particular event and get that out to the travel professional, customized with their contact information.
Oh, that's wonderful. So if an agent were starting out or wanting to grow this niche in their business, are there some other things that you'd suggest that they do, maybe networking or something along those lines?
Definitely. I know agents that have gone in and talked to managers of local sports bars, places where sports fans congregate to watch games. That might be a good place to start, just to see if there's interest. Maybe they can put up a flyer on a bulletin board, or do something to promote a particular trip that would be of interest to that fan base.
Yeah. Oh, that's a great idea. Wow. So now we've got a couple of great ideas that'll get agents rolling here.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking about social media and how this might tie into it. Have you had any experience with agents taking out ads on Facebook or Instagram to market this?
Yeah, I know that I've run into a couple. I'm trying to see if I can recall a specific instance, but I've definitely seen them try to, build up the number of people that their posts go to for particular events. And I think the two that I'm thinking of have had some moderate success with that.
That's great, because there's some really cool tools that agents can use to target specific people who love different kinds of sports. So if you're thinking about baseball, since we've been talking about baseball, you could set up a social ad that targets baseball lovers. So you can look at the interests on the Facebook ads section, and then target different teams that you might want to promote, target baseball, target sports in general to reach that specific type of traveler. And you'll find all that in your business manager or ads manager account on your Facebook business page. And when you go under interests, you'll find it there. And then there's also more information under sports as well as hobbies. So all kinds of cool stuff you can do with social ads. You might be putting a couple of dollars to it, but make sure when you do that you target it really specifically. And then, hashtags I think are still really popular on Facebook and super popular on Instagram if you're going to be using hashtags. So when you're thinking about hashtags, make sure you go in and look at that hashtag and look at the conversation that's happening around that hashtag before you start using it. Make sure it's a hashtag that has great conversation and great people there. So if you're doing baseball, maybe it's hashtag baseball, or maybe it's hashtag Philadelphia Phillies. And then you'll be able to reach people who are searching for that information and interested in that information. So there's some really cool things that you can do with ads and with hashtags like that. And the other thing, a minute ago we talked about networking, and you mentioned going out to sports bars and connecting with people that way, as far as the owners, the sports bars go. On Facebook, you could also join some Facebook groups that are geared towards sports fans. And Michael, you've probably joined some of those groups yourself, right?
I haven't. I do know of, I think, some instances where travel pros have joined the Facebook groups for like little children that, they have children and they're involved with Little League or softball leagues. And so they'll do that. And that's a great way to gain interest.
That's a great idea. And then, you just start the conversation just as a regular person, and you join as a regular person. And then once you've established your presence as a regular person, then you can start throwing out some ideas about travel and asking some questions and participating in other discussions. Make sure you do all of that, lay the foundation for setting up that relationship first, before you dive in and start advertising your own sports group. So those are really powerful ways that people can get involved and keep their interest rolling with that. So, Michael, what are the most popular packages that you offer at Sports Travel and Tours?
So if there's two ways to look at that. Over a year's period of time, baseball is definitely our most popular sport, followed by football. But if we look at the year divided up maybe into seasons or even 3-month increments, it really depends on what professional sports season we're looking at. Obviously, during the fall, when football's in play, it rules. Even though hockey and baseball are going on as well, football is really that driving force, both mostly for professional football, but to a lesser degree, college football as well. But with baseball, I think a couple of the reasons baseball is the most popular with our company is twofold. We started out doing hosted baseball road trips. These are anywhere from 3 to 10 or 11 days in length. They go from city to city, seeing games in major league cities, taking in other sites and attractions along the way. And then also, since we are the official licensed travel partner of the National Baseball Hall of Fame and Museum in Cooperstown, we do get business coming directly from the Hall of Fame, but we're able to use their logo. People look for that seal of approval from the National Baseball Hall of Fame. And so that really helps both bring in initial customers, but then they like the trip that they've done with us to Cooperstown, and so they start looking at, well, what else can we do with them, whether it's baseball or other sports. And I think travel pros will also find if people like coming to them for a Mexico vacation or a Europe vacation or a cruise, they're more apt to do any other travel product with them, even if it's something that they've tried to do on their own, like going to an away football game. If they know that you can do this, they're more likely, I think, to say, hey, yeah, you take care of this for me. It's more than I want to deal with, and you're a pro.
Well, that's great. And travel pros love doing that because they can be helping their clients and providing a service that gets them what they want and makes it easy for them.
Catherine, I've got a question for you. I mean, is there a way to reach out to an existing fan base and reach only sports fans?
Oh, that's a great question. Yes, you can do that through ads like we talked about before, but then you can also do that right on your business page through something called news feed targeting. And with each post that you set up, you have an option to set up a target audience for that specific post. So it's a really fun way to get your fan base maybe a bit more involved by targeting posts that are relevant to that specific subset of your own fan base. So when you go to set up newsfeed targeting, you can target just specific posts to that, and you can set up all kinds of targeting within that. But the downfall of that is that each time you do that for a specific post, that newsfeed targeting capability is only for that post. You need to go and do another newsfeed target for the next post that you do. Unlike social ads, where you can have an audience that stays alive and is contained for whatever ads you're going to use.
Okay, great.
Yeah. Oh, and then, then there's hashtags again. We talked about that a little bit earlier. But so make sure that you're using your hashtags in every single post that you do, and emoji. Now, I know some people kind of go, ah, why are emoji really important? Why are those little smiley faces and baseballs and footballs? Why do they make a difference? But, you know, it's a way of getting your post to stand out in somebody's newsfeed. You know how it is, you kind of scroll through your newsfeed and you kind of look at stuff, and something that grabs your attention is probably a video or a great picture. And emojis help you with that as well. So you're going to stand out and get noticed a little bit more.
Oh, that's good to know. I didn't know that about emojis, but now that makes sense.
Yeah, they're colorful. They grab people's attention. Yeah. So I have one last question for you, because I know we're keeping this at 20 minutes here because people are busy booking sports tours. So last question, how far in advance can somebody book an event with you?
For the most part, it really depends on each individual sports league. For example, Major League Baseball for 2020 will probably release their schedule in late August or early September of this year. But football, basketball, and hockey generally have a tighter window. Pro football, we received a schedule in mid-April with the season starting in the beginning of September. So for your regular season games, that's really the window of opportunity that we're looking for. But for another big feature that we mentioned earlier, both for the Pro Football Hall of Fame enshrinement and the National Baseball Hall of Fame induction ceremonies, because we know that a player has to be retired for 5 years, or player or coach, we can kind of forecast when people might be going in, and then know interest levels by the geographic area that these players or coaches were involved with. To give you a prime example, Derek Jeter, who retired at the end of the 2014 season, is generally considered to be a lock, a first ballot Hall of Famer in 2020. He announced his retirement during spring training of 2014. Later that same day was when we took our first deposits for people that wanted to attend the induction. And for both the Pro Football Hall of Fame and the Baseball Hall of Fame, you can do a fully refundable $200 deposit contingent on that particular player or individual being selected to go into those halls of fame, so that at any point in time you can always cancel on behalf of your client, receive that $200 back. If your player or coach doesn't get in that particular year, you still would have the option to either have that full refund or roll the money over to the next year and see what happens.
Wow, what a great policy, because then people get to see exactly who they want to see.
Exactly. It's been a great feature for us.
Wow, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. So any last hints or tidbits that you'd like to add in for our agents today?
Yeah, I know I've talked to a few travel pros, and one of the things that they did to really kind of bring more business in, or at least to get the word out that this was even something that you could do through them, is targeting when people come in, especially during certain times of the year, they're going to be wearing team apparel, especially in the winter months when there's sweatshirts and jackets and hats. So if you see someone wearing, maybe it's a Calgary Flames hat, maybe it's a Houston Texans jersey, ask them, hey, do you ever travel with the team, or do you ever want to go see an away game? I can do those packages for you. And it's just a way to bring up that conversation and kind of get them talking about things that they might want to do in the future.
What a great idea, because I don't know about where you live, but where I live, there's all kinds of hats and mitts and all kinds of team wearing going on. So that's a great idea. Plus, it's a good relationship builder. If they love the Green Bay Packers or the Philadelphia Phillies or whoever it is, they're going to be wanting to talk about it. So that's a cool idea. Great. So thank you so much for joining us today. And for the travel pros who have come on board today, thank you again for joining in. And if you registered in advance, remember to go ahead and grab that $25 bonus commission coupon and the infographic 19 ways to grow your social fan base. And if you didn't register in advance, you'll see the link on your screen now. You can just pop over there, register, and then you'll have access to those 2 downloadables. And see this bit.ly link on your screen? Remember, it's case sensitive. So thank you so much, Michael, for joining us. This has been so informative today. And what a great niche market for our travel pros to get involved in.
It's been my pleasure, Catherine. Thanks for inviting me.
Thank you. And we'll see you again soon.
Goodbye.